You can win the lottery, sell a successful course, land a partnership that transforms your bank account. But if your mind is still operating in scarcity, fear, and urgency mode, the money will disappear. Simple as that. That's what I saw happen with a friend. She made $300K in less than 6 months. By the end of the year, back to square one, in debt, frustrated, and ashamed. Not because she was irresponsible, but because her mindset never left scarcity. The truth is, a poor mind doesn't know how to sustain freedom. It sabotages, hides, spends poorly, avoids facing numbers, and rejects growth. If you want not only to achieve but sustain real wealth, you'll need to cut off the mental patterns of silent poverty. In the next points, you'll see 5 thought patterns that sabotage your prosperity and how to replace them with a rich woman's mindset. First, constant short-term thinking. A poor mind lives in the now, not with presence but with panic. It only thinks, how can I pay this bill by Friday? How can I buy this now even if I can't afford it? How can I just survive this month? Of course, everyone goes through hard times, but the problem begins when that becomes your default, even after life improves. Have you ever seen someone start earning more and still can't save, plan, or grow? Because they never change the way they think. They keep acting like tomorrow is a threat. They keep choosing the cheap option that ends up costly. They keep seeking immediate relief instead of building a solid foundation. Rich women think differently. They play the long game. They plant today what they want to harvest in 2, 5, 10 years. They turn down momentary pleasures when they threaten their structure. They know that freedom is built with vision, not impulse. Want to break out of this pattern? Ask before every financial decision. Does this solve my now or sustain my future? Create a 12-month goal, not a fantasy. A concrete direction. How much do you want to save? What do you want to pay off? What do you want to build? Change your vocabulary. Swap, I need this now for, I choose to wait because my future is worth more than my impulse. Wealth is about rhythm, not speed. Those who think short-term are always putting out fires. Those who think long-term build freedom that lasts. Second, thinking money is only for paying bills. The poor mind reduces money to one basic function: pay bills. This mindset may sound practical, but in truth, it's a limitation disguised as responsibility. When you believe money is only meant to pay for rent, utilities, credit card, installments, you turn money into a tool for survival, not a tool for expansion. The result? Even when more comes in, you still feel like it's not enough. Nothing's left. I can't move forward. That's what I realized in myself. For years, my money would barely arrive and it was already spoken for. But the truth was, I didn't know how to use money to grow, only to put out fires. Until one mentor told me, if all your money goes to bills, it's because you haven't yet understood that money can serve you, not just save you. That sentence flipped a switch. I stopped using money as a patch and started using it as a tool to invest, to learn, to generate new income, to create opportunities. Rich women see money as a strategic servant, not as an emergency firefighter. Want to start applying this now? Divide your money into clear functions. Create at least 3 categories: survival, building, expansion. Every time you receive income, set aside 10% for expansion, even if it seems small. The important thing is to give your money a new mission. Change your internal dialogue from, money is only enough to pay bills, to, my money works for me even in small amounts. As long as you treat money like a suffocation tool, it will only show up for that. When you treat it as a partner in building, it begins to respond differently. Third, fear of charging, shame of prospering. This is one of the most toxic mental habits inherited from scarcity, believing that earning well is too much, that charging fairly is being greedy, and that getting rich means losing your humility. The poor mind lives in this silent dilemma. If I charge, they'll think it's too expensive. If I prosper, they'll judge me. If I grow, I'll be alone. And if it works out, I'll lose who I am. This fear isn't about money. It's about identity. You were taught to feel comfortable in lack, to be a good person by giving up your own abundance, to please others, to justify yourself, to lower your price and your light. And then, even when life starts improving, you self-sabotage. You lower your worth, hesitate to charge, hide your expansion. I've lived that. I knew how much my work was worth, but when it came time to say the price, guilt would hit. That urge to not seem arrogant, that doubt, what if they think it's too much? Until I understood, if you feel ashamed of prospering, your prosperity will feel ashamed to stay. Millionaire women charge with clarity because they know the value they deliver. They don't try to convince, don't compete, don't justify their growth. Want to change that now? Notice where you shrink so you won't bother others when you're charging, posting, owning a win. Write down, what do I believe others will think if I prosper? This exercise reveals what you need to heal, not hide. Start charging with truth, not with arrogance. With certainty, with grounding, with alignment between what you deliver and what you believe you deserve. Because the truth is simple. If you're afraid to charge, you'll never have overflow. And if you're ashamed to grow, you'll keep blocking your own future with social excuses. Fourth, constant comparison, the poison that drains your wealth. The poor mind doesn't celebrate, it compares. It sees someone prospering and thinks, she got lucky. She has connections. Someone must be supporting her. I'll never get there. This kind of thinking isn't just toxic. It's limiting, because it shifts your focus to others and empties your own direction. The worst part, comparison doesn't motivate you. It paralyzes you. It pulls you away from your own growth and makes every win feel small, every achievement still not enough. I lived that. As I was growing, I spent months consuming content from other women I admired. But without realizing, I started feeling behind. I started pressuring myself for being late. I started acting not with strategy but with anxiety. And guess what? The results stalled. Because comparison disconnected me from my own energy. It was only when I quieted the outside noise that I could finally hear what really mattered, what I wanted to build, in my time, with my truth, with my structure. Women who sustain wealth don't compare. They observe with admiration. They learn. They bring it into their own field. But they never minimize their journey based on someone else's chapter. Want to break this pattern? Reduce the noise, mute for 7 days the profiles that trigger comparison, even if you admire them. Make a victory inventory. List 10 things you've achieved in the last 12 months. You need to learn how to recognize your own growth. Replace scarcity with inspiration. Instead of, she has it and I don't, say, if she did it, there's a path for me too. Chronic comparison steals the energy you need to grow. Because where there is judgment, there is no expansion. And money responds to the woman who is present in her own process, not lost in someone else's journey. Fifth, lack of command. Living reactively instead of building with intention. This is the most silent, and maybe the most dangerous, pattern. Living in reaction mode. You wake up late, work on autopilot, spend without thinking, accept any client, run nonstop all month. And at the end you ask yourself, where did my time go? Where did my money go? The poor mind lives in survival mode. It doesn't choose. It accepts. It doesn't lead. It reacts. It doesn't build. It chases. And when life puts you in the passenger seat, guess who drives? Fear, scarcity, comparison, anxiety, lack of direction. I've been there. Doing a lot, but with no strategy. Loose goals, shallow desires, rushed decisions. And every month felt like a repeat of the last. Until I understood, if I'm not in command of my energy, my money, my building process, someone or something else will be. Rich women don't spend life putting out fires. They have clarity, planning, intention. They know prosperity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing with presence and direction. Want to change this? Start your day with one simple question. What is the real priority today? Set money goals with date, amount, and purpose. Don't wander. Direct. Money loves clarity. Exit reaction mode. If you're constantly saying yes to everything, stop and ask, is this decision moving me toward where I want to go, or just keeping me busy? You only sustain wealth when you take the leadership seat. It's not about obsessive control. It's about conscious and active responsibility. Money doesn't respect those who drift. It responds to the woman who knows where she's going and acts like it. You can make money. You might even multiply it. But if your mind still runs on scarcity mode, you'll end up back at the same place, subtly, silently, and exhaustingly. Wealth can't be sustained with a poor mindset. It slips away. It dissolves. Because money doesn't tolerate incoherence. Today, you've seen 5 patterns you must break if you want to sustain real growth. Thinking only about now, with no long-term vision. Treating money only as rescue, not as a tool for expansion. Fearing to charge and being ashamed to prosper. Living in comparison instead of construction. Acting on autopilot, with no intention, no command. All of this may seem normal, because it's the middle-class mindset. But if you want to live beyond average, you'll need to think beyond the script. Rich women weren't born ready. They reprogrammed themselves. They re-educated their thinking. They replaced emotional habits with financial awareness. They traded guilt for decision. And they left reaction mode to live in creation mode. And you can do that today, right here, right now. Comment below. Which of these patterns did you recognize in yourself, and which one will fall first? Remember, thinking like a poor person has nothing to do with money. It has to do with direction. And you only sustain wealth when you think, act, and vibrate like someone who was born to expand. If this video flipped a switch in you, share it. Not for engagement, but for expansion. Because when one woman changes how she thinks, she changes everything money touches. And that has no turning back.